Hi, Run Your Story family. This is Allison Gilliard with Run Your Story, where every story needs to be heard. And making sure that your stories are heard this month is Fighting with Hope. And what better for Christmas season than the word hope? And our friends at Fighting with Hope know that word better than anybody else. Guys, they have shipped over 1,000 boxes, literally worldwide, like all over the planet. And those are even our neighbors, our friends, our family members that are battling cancer or have received a cancer diagnosis. And this chemo box is practical. It has tips and tricks and things to do while battling chemo, because not only are you battling cancer, but you're battling the side effects of chemo as well. Guys, there's goodies in there. There's words of encouragement, but best of all, there is hope. Each box comes with an uplifting card that, again, contains all the tidbits and advice, encouragement from scripture, practical supplies with goodies, and more, so that the person that receives this box knows that they are not fighting alone in this, that there's somebody out there that has seen them, that has heard their story and said, we want to make sure that you have this box of hope. Again, hope, so important. And these are more than chemo boxes, guys. They're hope boxes. So if you're looking for a gift to give somebody all year long, if you're looking to give a gift to somebody who is battling the hardest fight of their life, and that is cancer, check out fightingwithhope.com. I would even suggest, guys, if you are in a running club or a small group or a church group or just a fun group that likes to hang out, a trivia group, whatever it is, that you consider coming together and sponsoring a box. The box do cost, but those that are fighting with cancer, they can request one and they don't have to pay for it. So let's get out there and let's support these boxes. That is fightingwithhope.com. You can also find more information on runyourstory.com. All right, guys, let's prepare a story with Mr. Adam Williams. Woo, talk about an ultramarathoner. Guys, he has done some epic things, and he has done 9 200+ mile races in 6 months. 9 200+ mile races. Absolutely insane. He understands the importance of your running community and leaning on them, especially during an injury. Adam's going to share his story, his GOAT story, and it's not what you think it is, but you're going to be blown away by that. And he actually wound up breaking his leg while on a run. It's a crazy story. He was able to self-rescue himself. Oh my word, it's insane. And rather than going home and saying, I'm alone in this, I can't do anything in the running community, guys, he got back out there and he volunteered at aid stations. And he volunteered at one of the ultras that he was supposed to be running at because he couldn't run. He talks about the importance of showing up and being consistent, whether that's coming back from an injury or if you're starting your run story. Guys, there's no quick fix. A DNF can lead to something epic. And most importantly, he says, sign up for the event. Just go ahead and do it. Even if it's a 100 miler, even if it's a 200 miler, even if it's a 5K, it doesn't matter, because right now it feels big, but it won't in that moment. When you get ready to take it on, it's not going to feel big. So do it. Sign up. Adam, you're absolutely amazing, my friend. And I am so thankful for all the words that you gave us of wisdom and all the nuggets that you dropped. Thank you for sharing how important the running community is to you. Thank you for what you do for the running community. And we are so stinking proud of you and can't wait to see what else you take on, my friend. All right, guys, race up those running shoes, get ready, get set, and go run with my friend, Adam. Well, thanks, Adam, for being here on the podcast. Super honored to have you. You have quite a story, I hear.
Yeah, no, I'm really thrilled to join, and I appreciate you inviting me on.
Absolutely. We have such a great booking team, and when they were like, "Hey, we have to have him on," I was like, "Let's go for it, guys." So, shout out to the bookers because they worked their little heinies off for the podcast. We're really excited. So, one of the things that I learned about you, which I hope that we get to talk about in your story, is that you have done a lot of 200+ mile runs. And not only that, but you broke your leg, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, in 2024, I did break my leg, and then so 2025 has been jumping right back into where I left off, and then more so, I guess.
That is crazy. And so, with that being said, let's get started. How did you become the ultra marathoner that you are? Like, how did we get to this day? How does your run story begin?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I never imagined I would be running regularly or into this type of passion or anything like that. I was always
Mm,
kind of athletic growing up, played soccer. So running came naturally, usually chasing a ball. And then through my younger adult life, I stepped away from that or let it fall to this wayside. And that was fine until it wasn't. And then, like anything else, if you ignore it, it kind of festers. And
Mm.
at one point, I was sitting on a couch and for a couple hours working, and then jumped up really quick or something and threw out my back. And so I felt that was just a horrible sign that I needed to do something a little bit more related to fitness, a little bit more engagement with exercise. And so what I did, I had a couple friends that were into yoga. And so they got me into some hot yoga classes, really jumped into that, liked it. I went to the first class and it was the most I had ever sweat in my entire life in exercise activity. And so I was like, wow, it's like a cheat code. And so fell into that, really found new fitness around core muscles and strength that you don't get from an office job, for certainly, but also
Mm.
from other
Mhm.
like soccer. You don't work on a lot of those same muscles. So it's something that really, I think, helped all around daily activity. It definitely helped with the back pain that I was having. And so it was
Mm.
really cool to see that, just that little change in lifestyle bring out the needed change that I had. Where that changed into running is joined a little a group that was doing 100K, and I got assigned 2 legs of the relay, which is the furthest at that time I had ever ran
Sure.
purposefully. And I actually tried to train for it instead of just saying I'd show up that day.
Mm.
And then continued running after that and signed up for a 5 mile race, then a 10 mile race, then half marathons. Then did my first marathon, I want to say in 2019. And all of these, I realized you could use running as a perfect excuse to travel and see different destinations. And so for my first marathon, I went down to Cancun and my family went with
Wow.
me and it was a lot of fun. And then, so I signed up for a 50K, and that was in 2020. And so the 50K was the first ultra and the last race around the country, right? As thing was shutting
Mm.
down. But I
Mhm.
continued running once everything opened back up. Built and had more races scheduled. Eventually did 100K later that year and a 100 miler, and somehow convinced myself I could do a 200 miler. And then I did pretty well in them and realized that
Mm.
they are their own type of race that requires so much more than just the physicality, but also the mentality.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so I did pretty well in those. And I think my first 200 miler was Bigfoot. And then a couple months
Mhm.
later, I did Moab, and both of Moab, I got second in. It just blew my mind that I could do that. And so I have been leaning into that a little bit. And so that was in 22. And I've done 100 milers. I've done UTMB, done Black Canyon. So I've done a whole bunch of ultras all around, a lot of the big namesake ones, a lot of little small ones. I've directed races, part of our local running group or running club in the Palouse. And yeah, and then this year I had an opportunity, not purposefully, but an opportunity to do a whole bunch of them all at once. And that's because of 24 having broken my leg. I did have a bunch of races that deferred, and then I had time to volunteer, and then I had already had some on the schedule. So everything came together in 25 for this kind of big project.
Wow. And if I'm not mistaken, those 200 plus mile races, so it doesn't even just stop at 200.
Yeah, you're right. It's a
It goes a
200.
little bit more than
Yeah, it's a
that.
200 plus distance, right?
Yeah,
So
200 plus.
yeah, April I did the Monster 300, and then May was the Cocodona 250, and Moab it was in October, and that was the Moab 240. And so yeah, it's 200 plus mile distances.
200 plus. All in the span of less than a year.
Yeah, yeah. From April to
Yeah.
October, I did 9 of them.
Wow.
And I recommend all of them. I would do it again too. Each of them is very different. Each of them has
Mm.
different challenges, different memories, different high points, different low points. Some of them I think are what I would call my favorite. Some of them are probably not as great, but that's because they're my personal decisions and my personal experiences with
Mhm.
them or my personal
Mhm.
interests.
Mhm.
So I really like mountains. And
Mhm.
so I know that coming up, there's a race across Florida. And I've always thought that was actually all on road. And so I've never looked at that 200-mile race, but
Mm.
I've been corrected. That's not all on road. It's a lot of road, but not entirely road. And so it depends on what you're looking for as to what type of adventure you want. And these are truly adventure races.
Mm. That is incredible. And not only that, but you came back from a broken leg
Mhm.
to run more than 200 plus miles.
Yeah. So I broke my leg in 2024 when I was going after an FKT in the Wallowas. It was like a 30-mile
Mm.
FKT. And the Wallowas themselves, they're in northeastern Oregon. It's a little pocket mountain range that's connected to the Hills Canyon, Seven
Mm.
Devils region. And there's probably a bigger mountain range that they're all connected to, but it's really remote. Actually, most people don't even go to them or even know about them because they're not on the way to anything. So which is great. For me, it's
That's
like 2.5
fantastic.
hours away. And so I was out there by myself about halfway through the FKT, coming over the third pass of the day. And so coming down Polaris Pass, I was just on the top of the switchbacks and I paused, pulled out my camera because it was beautiful, a bluebird day.
Mm.
There it was July, yeah, it was July 8th. And so there was still snow in a lot of the sections I was about to go to.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and so I was taking pictures. I had a little 360 camera that I had
Mhm.
started recording with and started running down. And at the same time, I noticed this mountain goat and I was like, oh, cool, wildlife. But continued to cut me off on the switchbacks. And it met me on this outcropping above the trail. And right when I got there, it had kind of poked its head out right above me and then stomped aggressively. And it broke away a boulder from that cliff. And that fell whatever 20 feet it was above me and hit the ground once, the side of the mountain, and then bounced straight into me.
Get out of
And so
here.
that hit
What?
my knee, knocked me down off the trail, down the scree field, and kind of ripped open my whole knee, tore my IT band,
Oh.
fractured my fibula and took a whole chunk of flesh out with it.
And you were by
And I was by
yourself.
myself. There's no cell phone service or anything back there either. So when it was definitely a panic mode after that. I had to
I'm
self rescue
sure.
and I had random things in my pack at the time. Like I had a beanie and a buff, so I used those and my broken trekking pole to tie down like a bandage tourniquet thing
Mhm.
and stop the bleeding the best I could. And then, yeah, I had to hobble and scoot down the mountain, made it to the main trail, ended up having to tie another improvised bandage on top of it because it was bleeding through. And then eventually
Sure.
ran into a backpacker who called for help with his satellite phone. And then search and rescue met me basically at the trailhead just a mile up. Yeah. But that was a long day. It was about 12 hours to get to the hospital, and I was about 12 miles away from the trailhead.
Man, what a crazy story.
Yeah. And that was in July of
Man.
2024. Had surgery that like at 4 in the morning the next day because
Mhm.
I had
Mhm.
stopped to get pizza on the way to the hospital. So we couldn't do surgery right away.
Did you really?
It was offered and I took it. I was starving. The doctor was not thrilled, but I was hungry. So
Sure.
I in the 5 minutes to get to the hospital from the pizza place, I had eaten two pieces and then that had pushed back the surgery for another 12 hours.
Sure. Oh my word. Okay, so then you have surgery. So then obviously you have to go through rehab. And so this was
Yeah, it was
July
July.
of
Yeah, of
2024.
2024. I had probably, I think, 3 or 4 races, 200-mile races scheduled for the rest of the year. Those I thought I could get into. And so I knew Bigfoot was out of the question that year. So I ended up volunteering at Bigfoot in 2024. That's
Mm.
in August. And then Divide, I thought I could get into. But later in August, I had an infection get into the wound. And so I had to have another
Oh.
surgery. I had spent 4 days in the hospital in August of 2024. So they had to do surgery again and clean that up and recut the IT band. And so
Oh.
then my idea of recovering quickly was not, at least not for September. And that's when Divide
Mm.
was at the time. And then, so I volunteered at Divide which was just a rainy. I was pretty glad actually I wasn't running in here. I was it looked very, very challenging. It was just a 4 days of downpour. And
Mm,
then I volunteered at Moab, went out there. I worked with Speedland Shoes in Oregon. And so they gave me a whole bunch of equipment and support. And I took that all out to Moab into the desert.
mm,
And we set up a really cool aid station for the runners that year. And then so I ran that as the aid station captain. And then was also at the finish line that year at Moab and just got a whole bunch of volunteering hours in. Yeah, and then I guess I did run Javelina in 2024, which was 2 weeks later. So that was the end of October was technically my first race back. But
man.
I had no expectations and I only got 4 loops in before I had to catch a plane for work.
Mm. So the leg did fine. You were just like, time
I
wise.
mean, I'm gonna say I should not. The leg probably was very thankful I stopped.
Mm,
I was getting
sure.
slower and slower and slower, and but so it's still that was my first DNF. That kind of
Mm,
bothered me all year, but it did kick off this 12-month cycle in my head of like, all right, well, you can run still, so you can't use your leg as an excuse. And so I was already signed up
mm,
for the 300-mile race in April, and so that became the first of these races coming back in 2025. And I had approached the Monster 300 with that was my first race back, really. So I pushed at the beginning, but then really just settled in and found that to be a better test than Javelina of can I actually go this far and this distance in my leg and is it the same? And it's not the same. There's different pains, there's inflammation and stuff like that as I go through these distances, but it is
mm.
healed. Just it's just different.
Yeah. Wow. I don't even know what to ask from here, Adam. That is also crazy. First of all, already doing ultras, that many of them within less than a year. And then within less than a year from that, you came back from this crazy broken, not even broken, just the broken leg, but then, yeah, that torn IT band and a goat that clearly had it out for you. Like he was like, nah, I'm going to be the goat.
Yeah. I'm not a hunter, but there's
Wow.
a goat that I'm okay with people hunting there.
That's great. Wow. So there have clearly been some lessons that you've learned from this journey. So do you mind sharing some of those?
Yeah. So you kind of brought up that it was just a quick comeback or quick recovery. And I think that a lot of that comes from just my daily consistency. So I have a run streak that I've done. So I run at least 7 miles every day. And I had been doing that going
Wow.
into 2024. I had just passed 5 years of this run streak. And so whether you run every day or not, but the consistency of building that base, I think, is what allowed me to come back and have that endurance, but also that strength and allowed my leg to recover so quickly. And I also teach yoga now. So the consistency of having those types of muscles and that type of core work that yoga leans on and the breath work
Mhm.
that the practice gives you, I think all helped me come back a lot quicker. And there's not one thing that makes it feel like I know that for sure or something, but it's a culmination of everything that helped me see this over the entirety of my recovery, entirety of especially this last year too. And so I think that's something that I have found is that there's not just a quick fix for anything, and
Mm.
there's not a quick
Mhm.
solution for any goal you have, but it's a consistency. It's doing the work. It's the training. It's the process. Whether you're coming back from an injury recovery or starting out for the first time and you have a goal and it might be an ambitious goal. It might be something that's super attainable, but it still takes all the work that is going to be required. You can't just have a cheat code.
Mm.
And so that's something that I've found to be very evident, especially throughout this last year. But it's because it's been in the works for 7 years.
Yeah, sure. Wow, 7 miles every day. Just being consistent and showing up.
Yeah, it's my lunch hour.
Man. Mm.
That's what I do during the week. I go out on my 7 mile run, and then the weekends are my longer runs.
That is absolutely incredible. Man. I love how you said that it's like a culmination of everything, like from the breath work to the being consistent in the yoga and then consistent on the pavement, because then that also translates consistent mindset.
Yeah. And it's been interesting throughout this entire year. Some of the time between races, it's only been 8 days or 10 days between races for recovery. And so seeing what the body can do in order to maintain or just simply recover and still running every day is my
Mm.
recovery. I would love to just lay down and not move, but that's also the worst thing I could probably do.
Wow, man. So, do you have, beside, or I guess along with yoga and being out on the pavement, do you have a favorite recovery tool that you like to use?
This year, I was more purposeful about trying to get massages, but I also got a Nordic Tech leg compression.
Oh,
And so,
yeah.
really trying to,
Mm.
even with massages, you're really just trying to work out the inflammation
Mhm.
and just move, even just running or movement or with yoga. And it's hot yoga. So, it's also the heat because I do believe sauna also helps a lot too.
Mm, mhm.
Just working out any kind of inflammation or buildup that inevitably happens with all of these.
That's really good. I like that. So, you've already hit a little bit on it about your favorite races, but do you have one that really sticks out to you that this is the crown jewel, this is my favorite race?
The ones there's three that I really,
Okay.
and they're for different reasons.
Mhm.
I really do Cocodona a lot. It's like a Broadway show of running of these 200-mile races in a weird way because they really do put on a huge production. The race itself still has all the features of these races that I like. It's still got a lot of technical trail, got a lot of challenging rocks all over the place. Still has tons of climbing, but then it has the features that it's still accessible for crew at most of these aid stations. It's not a huge challenge for them to just drive out into the middle of nowhere and then turn around and drive for 6 hours to another aid station. It's very manageable for a lot of the crew and it goes through all of these
Mm.
towns. So there's service everywhere. So there truly is really great coverage for their live stream. And I think Aravaipa and Mountain Outpost does a great job with it. And it's getting bigger and bigger every year. And I think that's evident with how popular it's become. I think
Mm.
going forward, they're going to have to start doing the lottery.
Mm.
Then on the flip side, Destination Trail has been doing this longer than anyone else, and their biggest race is Moab 240. And
Mhm.
that race, the geography that you get from desert to mountains, and you can feel so isolated out in nowhere. And then you come into some of the aid stations, and I just love the geography out there. And then
Mm.
you can disappear and then reappear. And honestly, you can just look across the plateau and see where you're going and where you've been. And you're looking at 100 miles of running just in your viewpoint. And
Man.
it's really amazing. Plus, the weather every year I've done it has been at least varied. This year it was extremely variable. And so it was really fun to just watch the different storms flying around and see whether or not you were going to get hit. And everybody did. Though, I mean, I liked the rain. The challenge was the mud. But
Mm-mm.
it's still a beautiful place. And when there's rain in the desert, it's such an amazing place.
Mm.
And then the most remote race that I do, it's one of my favorite because of its area and is Sinister Sports puts on the Divide 200 up in Canada along the Canadian Rockies or in the
Okay.
Canadian Rockies along the Continental Divide. And so it's very rugged. It's very remote. Yeah, there's more grizzly bears than people. So there's so many elements that you have to think about that are outside of it's outside of your control, but it's outside of even what all of these other races have too. And so that one I did for the first time running it. And then last year I was just volunteering. And I think there's just a lot more puzzle pieces to try to work out there. And it's because it's remote. It's on these ridge lines. The first day is just a bunch of ridge line running. And that
Man.
freaks me out, which is probably why I like it. I'm not a fan of heights, but I still go out and mess around with them. Yeah, those ones
That
really
is
stand out to
insane.
me. The Summit 200, I'm from Colorado. I love Summit County. I used to go out there and snowboard all the time during the winters. Seeing it during the summer is amazing. You're above tree line the average is like 10,200 feet the entire time.
Wow.
That's a fun race too. Some areas for investment there that could be really cool. Colorado has a lot of really cool features. And then
Wow.
the Oregon 200 is amazing, but they had a fire, so it's not going to be there. It's not
Mm,
there anymore.
man,
It's probably the saddest story of the year. It's the Oregon
sure.
200. But yeah. And then destination trails, other races. If you want to really disappear into the woods and not know where you are and feel like you're going in circles, Bigfoot will do that to you. The Tahoe 200 is just full of beautiful sights from every point of the race because it's literally Lake Tahoe the entire time.
Man.
And then a Monster 300, I think, has so much to it because it's 300 miles,
Mhm.
including parts that I really enjoyed. The first 30 miles are, you can only do the 30-mile section by doing the 30-mile section. There's no other access points. And that canyon is amazing.
Mm.
I forget the name of it, but it's near the it's on the Arizona Trail near Phoenix somewhere. But then also, if you really want to cruise and you really want to go fast, they do have a huge section that goes through Tucson. And some people that are more akin to road running loved it, and they really could get through
Mm.
that section fast.
So you like being lost in the mountains, the woods, the scenery, the canyon, like, you just love it all.
Yeah, I'm definitely more of I guess I'd rather be out in the wilderness type of
Mm.
race, get as far out there as I can, see what I can do, have the aid station support me, and have that be my style of racing.
Wow. Everything you described is just so picturesque. You're like, "Why? Well, yeah, I'd wanna go do that." I just would think about your goat is what I would think about.
Oh man,
Like,
I have I never really well. So I mentioned that I recorded the goat, or I did record when I was coming down Polaris Pass, and
mhm.
the goat cut me off, and I was actually recording that, so it's all on video. It's on my Instagram account, in little sections, and so even in those videos, you can hear me narrating, like, I hope he doesn't knock rocks on me on things like that. So even before that happened, I was kind of aware of
Wow.
the dangers of things above you just knocking rocks down and rock fall.
Mm.
But
Mhm.
now I am constantly looking up. I cannot tell you how many times I'm looking for goats or anything above me. Just it's really annoying, and it just gets to the point where I get crooks in my neck because I'm looking up the hill so many times. Maybe it's a little PTSD.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the goat may he's like, "No, no, you can try to be the goat, but I am the goat."
Yeah.
Man. So, is there a race that you're like, "I wanna go back and try again," or a race that you're like, "Nope, I don't ever care to do it again?"
I would really like to do the divide again. They
Mm,
moved the timing by a month, so the weather will be different just because
okay.
the mountains up in Canada change by week. As far as
Mm.
weather, and so by a month, it's going to be very different
Oh,
in that sense.
sure.
That's an interesting one because so the wildlife will also be different in what they're doing.
Mm.
They might be out a little bit more. There might be also a lot more smoke because of wildfires. So even just by changing the timing of it, that will be a
Mhm.
different race completely. And so
Mm.
I'd like to experience that one again. I'll go back to Moab always because I think it will always have a little place for me.
Mm.
I know I can run that really well, and I just want to see what times I can throw out there. And plus the competition that shows up at Moab. It's one of those kind of more well-known races. And so you'll get some pretty good competition out there. Same with Cocodona. Some really fantastic competition shows up at those ones. Mammoth is also has the potential of becoming that too.
Mm.
So, and Mammoth, that whole valley, the Eastern Sierra is amazing. So they just had their inaugural year running that race was very special. And so it will be really cool to see what grows there.
Sure. Mm.
The flip side of that, I'm not personally someone that likes to run on road. So I probably won't do the Monster 300. I'll go
Oh,
out
okay.
there and support it and group people and pace sections that are not in Tucson. but it's not necessarily one of my favorites.
Mm.
And then there's international ones that I'm curious about. So yeah,
Really?
there's
Okay, do tell.
a race across Scotland that I'm curious about. There's a couple
Mm.
more mountainous ones in
Okay.
Italy, Tour de France, and they require more mountaineering. And so I'm definitely poking my head around those. And so we'll see what I actually do.
That's interesting.
And
Yeah,
then,
yeah, that'd be fun, and to see what wildlife they have for
oh
you.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And then I'm always curious about FKTs or just my own adventuring too.
Mm.
There's parts of mountain ranges where I've mapped out trails on Gaia and I just want to go see what they look like. So I'm in the Pacific Northwest and the Cascades are some very cool mountains all the way down through Oregon. The Willowas, I have my friends that are right at the foot of the Willowas and Joseph. And so I'll go down there whenever I can. I'll go revisit the goat, but it's a beautiful area. I'm not shying away from that.
Mhm. Mm. So, let's shift a little bit to what does your pre-race routine and your post-race routine look like?
My probably the most, let's say, fair type of pre-race type of I don't have serious routines. I'll put it this way. I have
Okay.
a race today.
Oh, okay.
So my pre-race routine includes whatever happens to be happening that day. Luckily, it's at 5 p.m. So I have many hours to think about it.
Whoa. Okay.
I'm doing the NorCal Backyard Ultra, which is going to be a first backyard for me. I've never done that, but I got convinced into it. So we'll see how far that goes.
That's amazing.
And my pre-race
I love
for
how
it,
you're on the podcast first.
yeah,
You're like, "This is my pre-race routine. I'm on a
yeah.
podcast."
And the pre-race routine for it is I will make sure that, in seriousness, I have to make sure that I have my feet taken care of. So sock.
Mm,
I'm not really big on taping, but there's a couple of hot spots that I like to take care of. And then
mm,
socks, I wear toe socks, and then I wear speed lane shoes. And so I take care of my feet. And then I just make sure I got a good setup for shorts and shirt, depending on the weather or
mhm.
what's going on. And then make sure I have a little plan for hydration. And it depends on the race, but
Sure.
sometimes I forget about it. Sometimes I show up and I remember I need water. When I was at Mammoth, one of my friends, Kevin, he gave me the course on the GPX file on my watch, I think 2 minutes before we started. So I don't know. At some point, you just, I got you. I follow the flags. That's what I do.
That's great. I love my yeah, I'm gonna go to an ultra. I might do this. I don't know. I love that so much.
I mean, I do have a really complex spreadsheet that I built. And so it has become a template. I can put all my pacing times into it and have predictions of when I'm going to show up somewhere. And so I can have a plan.
Mm,
And a lot of these
mhm,
require sleep or at least a night. It can take 3 days or 2 or 3 days or 4 days. And so at some point, you're going to have an idea of when you want to get some hours of sleep. And so I'll build
mm,
that in there. That all said, and the plans all fall apart as soon as you start running. And so
mm,
a lot of the doing that is just a way to get familiar with the course
mm,
and familiar with the sections. And so you have an idea of, okay, this section's 7,000 feet of climbing and 20 miles. I'll probably need to grab 2 bottles of water. And
okay.
so,
Mhm,
and have an idea. And so I just have an idea of things like that. But if I have crew, it makes life so much easier because you don't need to worry about drop bags. They're going to
mhm.
have everything I need. And I have a really good setup. I have my truck. It has a camper truck on the back of it that Peak
Oh, that's
Performance
cool.
Campers built custom for me this year. And it can sleep 5 people. So I can crawl in it. The crew can live out of it for a couple days and it has all the things I need as far as gear and stuff already. So it has allowed me to become lazy, which is great. It's one area that with these 200s, the pre-planning, the logistics is one of the most stressful
Mhm,
parts. And so I've done enough of them now where I don't worry as much. And at the
mm,
same time, I also have everything there that I need. I also did the Oregon 200. I signed up 2 days before. I had no idea what the course looked like. And I had one, I didn't even have a drop bag. I just carried all my stuff. So
Wow.
I don't know. You can just run them with nothing too, without any planning and rely on the aid stations. You might be really
Mhm.
uncomfortable and you might have to hope for perfect weather, but it's possible.
That is crazy. Oh my goodness, Adam. That's amazing. Okay, so then you get done with a race. So when you get done tonight with the ultra or tomorrow, whenever you get done with this ultra,
Yeah, I don't know when it's gonna
3
end.
days from
I
now, who
mean,
knows?
I didn't get a return ticket because I don't know what day it's gonna be done. And
Wow.
now with
So
the airlines shutting down airspace, I don't know if I'm gonna get a ticket.
yeah.
I might just drive back.
So what does celebrating the finish line look like for you? So like you cross the finish line, you're done. What does Adam do next?
Yeah, I really like the moments there. I find that on these big races, as I get closer to the finish, I do reflect a lot on that distance I've covered as I'm getting to the
Mm,
finish line.
mhm,
And then it gives me energy. I end up closing races really quickly. It's like a whole new burst of energy at the end for me, which is why it's going to be
mm,
interesting with this backyard ultra because there is no finish. And then
mhm,
when I finally am done, I like to stay there, stay in that moment. And a lot of these races this year, I turned around, I volunteered at the finish line,
oh,
and
wow.
it was easy volunteering, to be honest. I was doing
Mhm.
like the camera work for the live stream. So I was,
Okay, but that's after running
yeah,
200 plus miles.
yeah, yeah. So I got done like on day 3 and the race is still for another 3 days a lot of times. So
Mm,
I stayed around for 3 more days if I could.
that's
When
amazing.
and depending on the schedule and how it works, I can work remotely. It's easier for me to work
Mm,
remotely during the week and then jump on the road and travel back during the weekends. And so, depending on my work schedule, I'll jump online and do that. And at some point, sleep and catch up with that. But it's actually really hard to sleep after these events. So, my first
mm,
night's sleep, I might sleep for 3 or 4 hours, and then it's just too uncomfortable, or you're still in that mode of waking up quickly. And then,
mm,
and then it's the couple nights after that you actually really start catching up or getting back into normal.
wow.
But
That's so cool that you do that. I love hearing that you're like, "Yeah, so I'm finished and I'm gonna give back to the race that just gave to me." That's incredible.
man, it really is great being part of, or yeah, becoming part of the finish line and watching other people finish their stories. And I mean, most of the
Mm.
time people don't even know that I was a runner. They think I'm just one of the volunteers. So,
Oh, that's amazing. So, let's shift to what is your absolute favorite running item? You will not go anywhere without this item.
it's sad, but it is my watch.
Okay.
Like, I'm a data guy, so I like recording the data. I don't think I've ever ran without my watch. I
Okay.
mean, certainly shoes and whatever, but yeah, I do wear headphones. I have shock headphones, so I'll listen
Mhm.
to actually during just my normal runs around town or whatever, I'll listen to audiobooks. I think I've finished like
Okay.
400 books now,
Wow.
which is a great way. I don't have time to read. I could make time to read, but I don't. So this is a great alternative. So I've finished tons of books that I would have never otherwise gotten to.
Mm,
Or I'll listen to music, and then when I'm driving, I listen to podcasts. And so, yeah, yeah, headphones or I guess my watch. I don't know.
okay. What does your playlist look like when it's music?
When it's music, I have a little bit of everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't say that. As I teach yoga, I have a bunch of yoga music on here.
Sure.
But if I were to look at like my 200 playlists, more of like Citizen Cope. I have Danger Mouse. I have Box of Beats. I have Samuel Kim. I have Tiesto. I have a lot of, so maybe not Modest Mouse is on there. Trevor Jones is on there. If you have ever seen Last of the Mohicans,
Mhm,
that
mhm.
is a great soundtrack to run to.
Mm.
But yeah, Marshmallow. I guess I have a lot of EDM. There's a lot of Hans Zimmer soundtrack music on there too, because If you're coming up a ridge line, it's sunset, like right at the golden hour, and you get the right epic movie soundtrack going.
Right?
It's a
Yeah.
pretty good moment.
Oh, that's amazing. Again, so descriptive and how everything sounds. That's amazing. So you've already mentioned already about your shoes, but what's the name of the shoes that you run in that you like to hit the trails in
Yes.
and the
Yes.
ultras?
The company is Speedland, and they are a smaller, specialized, mostly trail running company out of Portland, Oregon. And the two guys that started it, they've spent decades in the shoe business. They
Mhm.
were product developers for some of the bigger companies and then went out on their own with the intention of building shoes that was the shoe first. So a lot of times when you're doing product development, you have a price point that you're building the shoe into.
Mhm. Sure.
And they did it the other way around. They built the shoe with everything that they wanted in it. And then the price was just whatever it costed. And so what happened is they built a really expensive shoe that actually has all of the ingredients that make an amazing shoe that has high quality, but also lasts a really long time. And so their GS model is what I use for these longer distances. And it's a wider shoe, has really solid cushioning. And then like I think through the summer I only use 3 different pairs of shoes. And so you
Mm.
can put yeah, you can I put 1,100 miles onto one pair of shoe. And so
What?
they do
Wow.
last. Maybe the
Man.
lugs on the bottom wear out, and so your trail shoe might become a road shoe, but they
Okay,
do
it's
they
fair.
do last as far as quality and comfort. And so they've been the way that they design their products and inventories, they do them by commission. And so they're small batch inventories. And so that they look like they're often sold out because they really
Mhm.
just build out their products or their inventory on a commission on one design based off of this model. And it might have different features or improvements because the commission is based around one of their athletes. And then they'll release that, but it's limited. That's it. That's the only ones
Mm.
that they have. And so those will sell out and then they'll create another one. And that's how you get different colors or different features around their GS model. And then so they have more rugged models like the ST model. And then they do have a road model. And so I will be running this backyard ultra in the road model, which will be a test for me because I don't do a lot of road running. I think the marathon is the longest road I've done a couple 50Ks. And so we'll see how my feet enjoy this.
Sure. Yeah. Wow. So for tonight, for the ultra that you're doing, and then for the backyard, and then for your longer runs, how do you like to fuel? I mean, you've merely mentioned your aid stations and your crew. So what do they what do they prep for you? Because I've heard broth and I've heard potatoes. So what is something that you like specifically for you for these long runs?
Yeah. I'm pretty comfortable with using liquid carbs. So Scratch
Mhm.
has a really great product for high carb mixes. So that's super easy to
Mhm.
do, super easy to drink. So you can, regardless of how your stomach's feeling, you can still get your carbs in that way. And that's on top of electrolytes. And I do really Scratch products a lot. So they also do have bars and chews like that for energy. And then for all of these ultras, any trail ultra, you can't just eat gels. I have a lot
Sure.
of gels. I think I've turned into a never second gel this summer. I've had so many of them. But yeah, broth is definitely one type of soup that I will always get into. I actually think
Mhm.
miso soup is probably better than broth, but it's not very common.
Oh.
So it's something
Mhm.
that you have
Okay.
to think about on your own. One of the really interesting foods that I've come across this year, and it wasn't even out my race, it was a race I was crewing for a friend, was a quesadilla, but instead of cheese, they put mashed potatoes inside,
Oh,
which
interesting.
it sounds weird, but it was delicious. It was like crispy quesadilla, and then the mashed potatoes get a little bit crispy too when they cook them.
Mm.
It was great.
Okay.
So that's what I want every time now
Oh, okay.
because mashed potatoes are good. It's a
Mhm.
good way to get some of that type of fuel. And then
Mhm.
quesadillas, I just get so bored of them. It's hard for me to eat. And then often it's really hard to make a good quesadilla
Mhm.
quickly. And some of the aid stations are just trying to serve everyone really fast. And so a good quesadilla requires you to melt all the cheese, right? Well, that doesn't
Hmm.
happen if
Hmm.
you do it quickly.
Yeah.
But burgers are always really helpful. Going back to the Oregon 200, they had some of the best food out there of all of them. They had rice bowls, they had really amazing tacos. I know that at Mammoth, the one aid station went all out. It was the Path product sponsored aid station, and they did, I think it was masubi. Basically, it's rice and then spam,
Okay.
which if you ever run in Hawaii, you can just go grab that at gas
Mhm.
stations.
Right,
And
right.
it's probably one of the easiest things to pack into your pack, throw into your pack, and just go out on the trail. So
That's intriguing.
I've been
Okay.
out to Kauai, and I'll grab a couple of those and then go running up to the waterfall and hang out there for a couple hours, have my masubi, and it's amazing experience.
Wow. Interesting. Okay. Do you have a favorite pre-race or post-race meal that you like to have?
Pre-race, I will usually eat something that's not too challenging, not too spicy. So
Mhm.
probably like chicken burger, like a
Mm.
guacamole chicken
Okay.
burger is probably pretty standard. And then post-race, I really enjoy Mexican food. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, that's probably what I lean on the most. Even in Joseph, after running into trails and Wallowas all the time, there's a really good Mexican restaurant that I almost always stop at. Although,
What do you like to
what do I like to get?
Mhm.
So not all Mexican restaurants do this, but some of them actually have it on their menu, and some of them start having it on their menu after I ask them for it. Or what I'll do is I'll get a burrito, but then I'll get a chili rano, like a stuffed chili rano, and I'll put it in the burrito.
Mhm.
And so I asked them to do that. And
Okay.
so a stuffed chili rano inside a burrito.
Interesting. Got some flavor there, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know where I first picked that up, but I don't know. I grew up in Colorado. There's lots of Mexican restaurants.
Do you have a running memory that is just your favorite? So, like, when you think about running, it just makes you smile?
Yeah. I have a ton of memories like that, but kind of those moments when you're just falling into a flow, and
Mm,
whether it's part of a race or you're out there and maybe for me out there in the wilderness, and you just find yourself moving fluidly and at ease and kind of, but I guess most importantly, mentally at peace. And
mm,
a lot of times what pushes me into it is also some music that also is perfect for the moment. The specific memories or specific moments, I can think of finish line or like running towards finishes. The very first Bigfoot, I remember running up to that track at the end there and just feeling what the body was doing at the moment there and how far I had gone for the first time.
mm.
And same at Moab, it still kind of gives you chills as
Sure.
you approach those end lines, those goals after just so much.
And being there and as you said, like, just taking in the moment
Yeah, absolutely.
and not rushing it, just being there and being like, "Okay, this is what I've accomplished. This is where I am."
Yeah,
That's gotta be
yeah,
amazing.
absolutely. Yeah, and it definitely gives you a return of energy. It's like kick that you
Mm,
can, I don't know, wakes you up in a way.
sure. Oh, so you've mentioned yoga. Do you do any other cross training activities? Because you're on this run streak, so you run at least 7 miles a day, and you're this epic ultramarathoner. So is there something else that you do as well, or you're like, "Yeah, that's enough?"
I do have some strength training exercises that I'll
Okay,
run through. Not great at sticking to that routine, but I'll go through phases of where I'm a little bit more dedicated to it.
sure.
Probably more if there's an off season, probably more in my off season of when I'll do that. And I'll do it early morning. I'll jump on and I have a kettlebell that I'll throw around with that.
Mhm.
And even after my daily runs, my 7 miles, there's the exercises that I'll do with that.
Oh,
It's kind of like
nice.
a yoga. It's like a strength training mix that
Mhm.
I've built. And I think that has been really good, especially this last year, specifically working on recovering my knee.
Sure. Absolutely. Do you feel like since doing that, that you've gotten stronger with the knee?
Those types of exercises.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think it has helped the knee become stronger, yes, but also
Mhm.
it's kind of everything. So when I push the knee to go and do some run, it complements the run itself.
Mhm.
So it
That's good.
becomes part of the recovery from that run. So it's not just not
Mm.
so the exercise wasn't just pounding on the pavement of the run, but also then
Mhm.
taking time to go through the motion of actually fully extending, fully loading, and taking a moment to really work it all the way through that way. And so I think it yes, it has probably helped it become stronger that way.
Mhm.
But I think it also is because it wouldn't do it just by itself.
Sure. Yeah, that's a really good point. Adam, what advice would you give to somebody that is maybe wanting to either get into running or is hearing your story and is like, you know what? I want to get into the trails, or I'm looking at doing some ultras, or as you've experienced coming back from an injury, is there a key piece of advice you would want to tell them?
Yeah, you have to understand yourself.
Mm.
What works for me is having something on the schedule, having a race out there, having a
Mhm.
goal out there. That way I'm working towards something,
Mm.
but that doesn't necessarily work for everybody. So
Sure.
as far as advice, I think that especially if you're new, yes, being willing to just sign up for an event and knowing that just because it feels big today doesn't mean in 3 months, 6 months, it's going to be impossible. I think that
Mm.
you have to be willing to put yourself out there and willing to try to build to something, even though it feels big now. And I think that's important to try to do. The other aspect of that is the running community is such a huge resource. Whether
Absolutely.
you want to formally find coaches, lean into even just your local community, you can find running clubs. With ours in the Palouse, I remember, I think it was 2 years ago, just during the summer, we're all volunteers. And so one of us and on the board, or just one of us decided, well, we don't really have a lot of trail type of things. And so I decided, well, I'll do a trail running workshop every Wednesday for the summer, and so
Mm.
I guess at 6 a.m. That feels really early. Probably at 6 a.m. I guess I met everybody. I just had an ongoing weekly 6 a.m. trail meetup on at one of our local trails, and so I would take people, whoever showed up, I would take them out on a run on the trail, but I'd also have a theme where this week we're talking about hydration, or this week we're talking about gear,
Mm.
this week we're talking about shoes. And so I think clubs all around do things like that. And if not, there's certainly people at running clubs or running groups that know or have answers or experience that you can definitely connect with. And I think just asking and learning from others' experience is probably a
Mm.
great way to start. And I mean, certainly it's taken me years to get to have even the foundation or the knowledge that I do now. And I'm still learning. And
Mm.
I'm
Yeah.
always, I don't have a formal coach, but a lot of the people that I know are coaches. And so when they drop some advice or wisdom, I'm always listening. And so
Sure.
I'm always picking it up. And then a lot of the books that I have read are actually technical running books. I don't know how many people like to run and listen to a book about running mechanics, but you can do that.
That is great. That is some amazing advice. I really appreciate you sharing that. You've talked about the mental aspect and having that mental flow and how mental clarity and how it's so important. So, I am sure there's been times where you're like, this is stupid. I can't believe I'm out here. Or this climb is too much. Or this stupid goat that just took me out. Is there something that you tell yourself to keep going when it gets tough?
I do. Without knowing I've developed, especially with these races, there's always down points.
Hmm.
They're very long races. You're going to have really high
Sure.
points. You're going to have really low points. And then as the
Mm.
race goes on, it's going to happen more and more. It's a mental roller coaster. And
Mm.
so just knowing that's happening makes it better, because one of the things I've come to realize is everything is temporary.
Mm.
The
Yes.
really good moments, that's temporary. So you really do have to enjoy it, and you have to be present in that moment, and you have to appreciate the really good moments. Likewise, the really
Mm.
bad moments, really shitty and sucky times, they're not going to be forever. So you have to just remind yourself that it is temporary, but more importantly, that is what you're where you want to be. It may not be the best
Mm,
right then and there, but you're doing what you have worked towards, have set the goal for, and understanding that you're where you want to be, regardless of how it feels at that moment, is more important. And so I do often just remind myself, like, this is what I want. This is where I want to be. I want to feel this.
mm,
I want to experience this really crappy moment right now. I chose this and I'm
mm.
happy I'm here. So it's refocusing and it works. Even just forcing yourself to smile changes your attitude, and
Oh,
how you
yeah.
approach things will always change your outcome. It's
Mm,
amazing how much you have the power over your own attitude. And
mm.
sometimes you have to remind yourself of that. Sometimes other people have to remind you of that. I'm not a parent, but I know that watching my brother with his kids, he
Mhm.
reminds his kids all the time that they can change their own attitude. And when you're out there running,
Mm.
sometimes you turn into a little kid.
Oh, that's a good reminder. That is really good.
But yeah, and then sometimes your leg or your knee might start hurting or your foot hurts or whatever. Your body's you just have to remind yourself your body's talking to you. None of it's life ending.
Mhm.
It could be. It's a go.
I was gonna say, it could be.
Yeah. But when you're doing these races, you just have to say thank you. Left foot,
Mm,
I hear you. No, I'm just gonna keep going now. You're doing your job. And
man,
so
yeah.
I talk to myself all the time.
That's great because then other people are like, "He's delusional."
Yeah. Yeah. But and then it is different, like, I remember experiencing the goat thing, and it was different because that was more of a fear, and that was more of that life and death type of thing where
Absolutely.
I had to just make the choice of, "Okay, well, everything is not good right now, and I have to be okay with pushing through it and make the choice to just deal with it and not be sad or whatever or scared and just, I don't know, refocus or take care of myself." And so
Mhm.
I had to put that first and foremost, and then I can deal with the emotions later type.
Mm. Well, it was survival in that moment too.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
was like, I gotta make it back. There's no one out here."
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. And I remember thinking like, well, I know I can get out. I've done 12 miles.
Mm,
I've done this section before or this segment before. It's just like any of these segments in any of these 200s. So I know I can do this. So we'll just do that. And so I was able to lean on some of my experiences training or running
mm.
some of these races to make it okay. And so that was really fun, cool. Like,
I was gonna say, what a mental reset in that moment because you could have had the opposite reaction where it's like full on panic of, oh, my legs ripped open. But you were able to calm yourself. And I love that you shared that, hey, I was able to recall things that I've gone through. And in the grand scheme of things, you're like, it's 12 miles. As an ultramarathoner, 12 is nothing.
yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I guess the unfortunate part about that is I thought it was like 9 miles and then it kept being wrong. One thing I do constantly is math. So I'm like a finance accountant type of person, my
Okay.
professional life. And so I'm constantly doing math. And when I'm running, I'm constantly doing math. It's interesting. One of the ways I know I need to go to sleep is just how wrong my math gets sometimes.
Wow.
And so if I can't add or really realistically divide some of the simple things out there, then it might be time to go to sleep.
That's fantastic. That's your metric. That's phenomenal. You've mentioned already some goals about running abroad. What are some other running goals that you have?
Ever since I started, I did the 5 mile race, I did the 10 mile race, I did the half marathon. I thought that was crazy. Then I did the marathon. I've always been going after these distances to see what my body could do to find out what its limit is. I don't know if I really want to find a limit,
Oh,
but in
okay.
a way, that's why I keep doing these bigger and bigger distances. I don't think that's unique to me, but that is one of the goals is to see what I can do. I don't want to see what I can't do, but I'm very curious to
Mhm.
see what I can do. And so I'll keep trying to figure that out.
I like that goal. That's good. What is your favorite length to run? I know you're doing at least 7 miles every day, and obviously you've done these 200 plus miles. But is there a favorite length that you're like, I just love running this length?
I think running 2 miles, no matter what, is always really annoying.
Okay.
So whenever I start running, the first 2 miles is always really annoying, but then your body starts to accept it. Mine
Mm,
has become accustomed to that 7 mile distance. And so once I go past
mhm,
that, then it starts asking me like, okay, what are we doing now? And then
mm,
once I'm past 30 or 50 miles, it's really interesting to see how the body just falls into, all right, well, this is what we're doing forever, I guess. and,
mm.
and
We're just accepting it.
yeah, and that's what it is. The body accepts it, and it's in a way it stops bringing up a lot of the small things,
Mhm,
and miles start ticking by. And it may not be a specific answer to your question, but when you feel the miles ticking by, that's
mhm,
kind of favorite distance. And it usually
mm,
happens in the larger distances, but it can happen when your body really is more in that flow of running. And that to me is the
mm.
best distance.
I love that's great. That's when everything's just flowing together. That's good. When you aren't running, Adam, what fuels you? What are you passionate about?
Mm. I'm not running. I am teaching yoga when I'm not teaching yoga. I'm working. And if I'm not working, I guess what I'm passionate about is traveling. I do love to travel.
Mm,
So I will take the time, I will add into the time I can to travel places, to see new things, to meet new people, experience new experiences, try new food. And so running was always an excuse to travel. Traveling's an excuse to run.
mm.
And if I can't run, I'll still travel and do something else and find a different excuse to do it. And so, yeah, I enjoy seeing new things and experiencing new places.
That's amazing. Any final words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom.
Mhm,
One of the entire reasons I do any of the things I do, and even with traveling, I would want to go do things. I try to organize things with groups of friends, and it was always a challenge because plans would fall through. And it got to the point where I was just like, I think I just have to start doing things on my own and just say yes to whenever I have an opportunity for something. And so my advice is just say yes to things, yes to opportunities, and just say yes to things. Yeah, that'll get you wherever you're supposed to be.
ah, those are some great words of wisdom, Adam. Absolutely phenomenal.
Sure.
I love that. Adam, thank you so much for sharing your story and what you're doing in the ultra world and also for giving back. I love that. I love that I got to hear that when you're done running, that you go back and you give back. And oh, that just it got to me, like, that really, really got to me, and then the fact that you've ended this with saying, "Let those opportunities take you. Don't be afraid to say yes," and that's some really cool stuff. So, as you said in this too, don't be afraid to sign up for that race. Don't be afraid to go and experience something, whether it's solo or with a group across the finish line. So, Adam, thank you for all of your nuggets of knowledge, man. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure. I really appreciate the invitation to come and talk.
Absolutely. Thank you. Don't you just want to go with Adam on a run? I mean, and just see what shenanigans you can get into. If you can be chased down by a goat, if you're gonna have to become survivalist with Adam, anything is possible. And it was so fun to get to know you, my friend, and your story. Just absolutely incredible. And the overcomer that you are. Really, the tenacity and perseverance that is deep, deep within your bones, my friend. Thank you, Adam, for sharing your story, for being such an inspiration that you are, and for what you're doing in the ultra world. Just keep going, my friend. Just keep doing big things. And thank you again for doing big things with Fighting with Hope. We absolutely love Fighting with Hope and the fact that they believe and run your story, and we believe in them. It's such a beautiful partnership, and we're eternally grateful for them and what they do, not only for the running community, but for the community as a whole. And again, I highly encourage you, if you have a trail running club or you have a run club or anybody that you know that wants to help provide a box for a friend, a neighbor, a runner who is battling cancer, Fighting with Hope is the place to go. And I hope that you guys take time to go check them out, either on the Run Your Story website or fightingwithhope.com, and that you come together and you sponsor some boxes. It's so important, and they're absolutely amazing. incredible organization that is helping people both mentally, spiritually, and physically get through the toughest chapter of their lives. So thank you with Fighting with Hope and for what you guys do. Thank you again to Gilliard Tech Services. We could not and would not be where we are if it wasn't for him and for our Patreon family members. Those are just absolutely the core and the heart of Run Your Story. Guys, if you need a website design, or if you have a website that you're envisioning and you have no idea where to start, or you need to revamp your website, go check him out at Gilliard Tech Services. Gray loves the running community. He gives of his time and his talents to make sure that you guys hear incredible stories, and he does such a great job of editing, and he is up to date on our website. So go check it out at runyourstory.com. I think you're going to be really impressed by the website, and that's just what he does for Run Your Story. Imagine what he can do for you. So Gilliard Tech Services is where it's at. Go. He's the man with a plan for you. Absolutely. So thank you, Gray, Gilliard Tech Services. And to our Patreon family members, love you guys. Thank you for being the rock that you are, Run Your Story. We would not and could not, again, be where we are if it wasn't for you. You not only keep us encouraged, keep one another encouraged, but you keep this podcast going financially, and we are eternally grateful to each and every one of you. Thank you for that, and thank you for what you're doing, and we love you guys so very much. Thank you to everybody who listens. Thank you to everybody who shares and comments and likes the post and leaves reviews. That's how your stories get told. That's how they get out there. That's how they get heard on the pavement, is by sharing. And so we hope these stories continue to encourage you. They encourage me. I always, after an interview, I'm like, wow, that was amazing. And sometimes I cry a lot lately with Run Your Story, because your stories are absolutely phenomenal. And it goes back to the core of what Run Your Story is. Yes, we're running podcasts, but we're more than runners, and we're more than running podcasts. We are a podcast that I hope inspires you, as so many have said in sharing their stories, is that to overcome your fear and to get out there, to become part of community, whatever that looks like, and just to take care of yourself and take care of one another. So until next time, guys, go run your story, because every story needs to be heard.